Hello and welcome to the latest session of Meet the Expert. I'm Darren Williams from Quick Switch, and this is Sam Jackson from the Property Portal. Hi Sam, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Darren. Yes, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Tell us a
Good,
little bit
good.
about the Property Portal.
Oh, well, where do I start? We are a one-stop shop and an online platform for everything property. So treat us, if you like, as a concierge service, Darren. So basically, if you can use sort of the analogy that if you go into a hotel and you pay for your room, you can either pay for a room and then leave, or you can use a concierge on the front door. And actually what we do is we add benefit to people throughout a process. So if you've got a good concierge at a hotel, the room costs you the same amount of money. But if you use those services and that concierge guy or lady helps you out with theatre tickets and booking rooms and all sorts of different things to do with your holiday, you get a nice, warm, cosy feeling. So that's kind of what we do for property. So we're
Excellent.
a platform that you can go onto either as a business partner or as a member of the public, and you can utilise services that go from mortgages, conveyancing, surveys, EPCs. And we've got a great team of people behind the scenes here that look after you. So you get your own property expert right the way through. So
Brilliant.
in a nutshell, everything property.
Sounds excellent. So what are you seeing in the market currently? I mean, obviously there's a bit of economic turbulence. What are you seeing at the moment?
I think in all honesty, it's quietened down, but not massively. So we've definitely, I mean, throughout the last sort of 20 odd years of my working life, and I've always been in property in one way or another, either in law or doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I've never ever seen anything so buoyant. So the last 2 years, I mean, you would expect, wouldn't you, during a pandemic, that what would happen is everything would just drop off a cliff.
Yeah.
And we all sat here at the start of a pandemic thinking to ourselves, right, we're not going to have any business here because we need to diversify. And actually what happened after a sort of a hiatus, because we all had to stop what we were doing, that the market was just incredibly buoyant. And probably if you listen to people like Kirsty Allsop, she was on telly at the weekend saying exactly the same thing, throughout her entire career, it's never been this hot.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to calm down at some point. So if you say, is it calming down? Then yes. Is it worrying? Not yet. Is it probably getting back to where it should be? Probably yes. It can't carry on like that because people can't get on the market, can they? And they can't buy and sell houses because it's just far too busy.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, since the pandemic, then, what do you think has been driving that buoyancy? Has there been particular things, drivers of that buoyancy?
I don't know, and it's a really good question actually, because I don't think anybody's been able to put their finger on it. I think part of it is that people have been forced to stay at home. So you'd be like I was, you stay at home, you look around, don't you, and think, well, okay, what do? We either move or we sell or we decorate. You can't get good trades and people like that for love nor money now because everybody's doing things to the houses. So I think part of it is that. I think part of it is because people have rebalanced life. So people who maybe worked in the city before, we're seeing a lot. Our base is in Cheshire, albeit we're a national company, and we've noticed a lot of people moving up to the Cheshire area from the cities. So people in London now are realising that they don't need to be in the city centre to do their job. They can be on Zoom, doing things like this. They can go into the office for one or 2 days a week. I think businesses have realised that people don't have to be in situ to do a good job. And in fact, the internet and things like that can make things a lot easier. So people have actually moved out of town. So whether or not there's been an adverse effect in the city centres, and I expect that has for business, I think that the knock-on effect of that is that the property market in the suburbs and in the country has just gone crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you try to buy a house or look at a house in Cornwall, it's ridiculous,
Really?
Yeah, it's just gone crazy, absolutely crazy. So I think it's part of that. People have just had to just reassess their lives, haven't they? And had a lot more time to spend as a family, and perhaps realise that actually, nobody goes to the deathbed, do they? Say, no, I wish I'd spent another day in work. So
yeah, shifting the
I'll have a
priorities.
bigger garden instead.
Yeah, shifting the priorities, isn't it? Yeah, because we all
Exactly.
wanted that garden and the dog and everything else during
Yeah.
lockdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Whenever you talk about moving house, you get people that sort of come across really negative experiences. Why do you think they do have those negative experiences, and what can you do to sort of iron out those wrinkles for them?
Yeah, it's one of those things that, and probably is the reason why we set up this business, to be fair. I mean, my background's in law, so I was a property lawyer by trade, and got so fed up of hearing people at the end of a conveyancing transaction saying that was the worst thing that ever happened to me. It was vile. It's worse than divorce. I mean, it's like, why should that be the case? Because actually, you're doing something that you want to do. Most people choose to move house, or they've decided that they really want to be somewhere. Why would that then be difficult or stressful? And I think the reason we set up this particular business is that we wanted to iron out those creases. We could see there was problems, and I think the major problem is communication. So if as a person within the industry, you just assume that everybody else knows what's happening, and people don't. So people quite often are nervous about it, frustrated, stressed. And if you can hold the hand and look after them and communicate with them and explain to them what's happening right the way throughout the process, it irons out those creases. It shouldn't be stressful.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have very diligent lawyers working on matters. You've got very diligent surveyors or accountants or mortgage brokers. But if they're not speaking with one another and nobody's then speaking to the client, the client gets to the end, or a person moving gets to the end and hasn't a clue what's going on, and they get frustrated because there's a lot of work that goes on the background. So things can be quite quiet for a period of time, which is perfectly normal. But if you don't let somebody know that that's going to happen, you just assume you've been forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess the other thing is, you know, with the internet and things like that, people will Google now, they'll find out, they'll go onto forums. And so rather than calling and making a phone call to an expert to ask the question, you know, no question's a silly question, just ask the question.
Yeah.
And we're here to help. And I think that's kind of why we've been so successful, that we've got people who work with us who have been there and done it, and either, well, bought and sold their own houses, but have worked in the market. So we always just say to people, pick up the phone, speak to us. And generally by the end of a 2 or 3 minute conversation, they feel informed and comforted by that. So hopefully the idea will be they'll get to the end of it and say, actually, that was quite good. That was all right. I'll go back to those professionals and I'll do that again.
Yeah.
So it's communication. Communication is absolutely key.
Yeah, I've seen it in a couple of transactions that I've been involved with some of my clients, where either land registry have held things up, or solicitors are on backlogs because they've been, I mean, there was that stamp duty, wasn't there? The break-in stamp duty, was it this time last year? So there was a huge amount of sales progressing through to try and get underneath that particular hurdle, wasn't there? So yeah, you're right. The whole process needs that communication, like we do with everything in business and in life. You need to communicate, don't you?
Yeah, of course. And I think it's striking that balance, isn't it? And hopefully by taking that away from the professionals that are actually doing the job. So we're not lawyers, we're not accountants, we're not mortgage brokers, but we understand the process. So what we do is we're almost a sort of a platform for people to sort of, we handhold basically. And that then alleviates the problem for the professional doing the work, because the client is not calling them 3 or 4 times a day for an update and chasing them. It lets them do what they do whilst we do the hand holding in the background. So hopefully it works a little bit better.
Yeah. So leading on from that point, then, what can we do as individuals selling houses to make that whole transaction go smoothly, go quicker, possibly?
Well, I mean, if you sort of split it down in a sale and a purchase, obviously they're two different things. On a sale of a property, we would always advise people just to get sale ready. We do a lot of work with agents about that, and it's educating people that when they put the house on the market, they shouldn't then just step back and wait for that sale, because it's certainly in a buoyant market that'll happen sooner than you think. You know, you'd be surprised at many people who put the house on the market and then go on holiday for a fortnight and come back and it's sold. Yeah. So it's kind of getting sale ready. So it's having that mindset. Obviously, knowing where you want to go is the starting point, but getting the forms organised, getting everything organised at home, instructing a lawyer right at the start. People will always be frightened of that because they think they're going to incur costs. But actually, on a certain model and things that we would do is you don't incur any costs until you actually complete. But what you are doing is getting your paperwork and all your ID and things like that in order on a sale. Yeah. And on a purchase, obviously, clearly the first thing you need to do is sort your finances out. So, you know, exactly. So we'll put you in touch with people who will be able to organise that. And if you're not quite ready, they'll be able to sort of almost do a finance health check. Yeah. Just to tell you where you need to be, what's in the market and what's about. And then obviously you're then in a very good position if you want to go and make an offer on a property. So purchase wise, it's finance really. And again, instructing a lawyer or at least having a conversation with a law firm up front, because there's quite a lot of paperwork when it comes to house moving. I mean, you know, even with the pandemic, you would have hoped things have moved on, and it kind of has, because IT and people are on Zoom and all sorts of different things. And I think even the land registry have been forced to sort of step out of their comfort zone and look at different ways of doing things. Yeah. But it's just getting the paperwork organised up front. And then that's the biggest headache really, isn't it? Because you can let the professionals just get on with it then.
Yeah, sure.
Front
That's brilliant.
loading.
That's brilliant. And like you say, it should be a really fun transaction, shouldn't it? It shouldn't be, and it is always
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
classed as a really stressful moment in your life, and it shouldn't be really, should it? It should be something to look
Not
forward.
really. I mean, the difficulty with moving house should be, going into the loft and finding out what you've got up there and seeing if it'll fit in the boxes. It shouldn't be the
Yeah,
stressful phone calls that you need to make to people who just are not answering the phone. So if you can
yeah,
alleviate that and then just let people pack boxes and enjoy it, or try and enjoy it, then I think the whole thing will be better for everybody. It should
that's
come out with a nice cozy feeling rather than it being the worst thing you've ever done.
yeah, that's brilliant. And just to sort of wrap up, the property portal, if people want to get in touch with you, and what sort of people would get in touch with you? Is it solicitors? Is it purchasers? Is it sellers? Everybody?
Well, both, everybody. In answer to your question, we've got a section on the website which is headed up partners. So if you want to become a partner of ours and you want to provide services, so if you're a conveyancing law firm, if you're a mortgage broker, a surveyor, go on and click the partner page and we'll be in touch with you on there. If you remember the public and you just need some services, just go onto the website and you can just choose from all of the services that are on there, and one of the team here will look after them and give them a call back and take them through it.
That's brilliant. Great stuff. Well, listen, Sam, thank you ever so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And
You're welcome.
great to get to know you a bit better, and we'll speak soon.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Darren.
Cheers, Sam.
See you then. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.